Or think a vacation home in the middle of nature will bring peace? Think again. As the night falls, the whispers and eyes in the shadows will make you wonder, are you really alone? I bought a vacation trailer almost 2 months ago. It's a tiny house complete with 2 small bedrooms, a living room, a kitchen, and a bathroom. It's simply a great, peaceful place to escape the city, whether alone or with a girlfriend if I have one. The property is on 2 acres, and not only is it beautiful and spacious, but it's also only about a 10-minute drive from the mountain I love to ski. The first time I got there, my family and I decorated the house. We went to a local furniture store and picked out some couches. Within a week, everything was done, thanks to my dad's pickup truck, which made transportation easier. I guess our nearest neighbor noticed our commotion, so he came over to say hello. He introduced himself as Dale. Dale looked like the kind of local I expected to see in this area. He had a thick Hudson Valley accent, and his mannerisms were distinctly different from the city folk I was used to. Still, he seemed nice at first. We introduced ourselves, even though I was the one who needed to get to know him, since this was my property. After chatting for a while, we continued unpacking and bringing furniture into the house. Dale stood there for a moment, just watching us. My dad tried to keep the conversation going, but eventually, Dale said goodbye and went home. That Sunday, we left together. I returned 2 weeks later, this time alone, to pick up more stuff like ski gear and get Wi-Fi installed. I guess Dale saw my car because as soon as I arrived, he knocked on the door and walked in without waiting for me to open it. He greeted me, and I politely invited him in. "This place looks nice," Dale remarked. After a bit of small talk, he invited me over for a beer. I thought, why not, and followed him. Dale's house was also a mobile home, probably a little bigger than mine. We sat on the deck, and he got me a Heineken and sat down across from me. I tried to get to know him by asking, "How long have you lived here?" "Over 20 years, Dale replied. I continued to ask a few more questions, and he answered them in a half-pessimistic, half-joking tone. That set the tone for the conversation. Then Dale started asking me questions he hadn't asked before, like, "What brings you here? Where are you from?" I told him I was from Queens and just wanted a place to get away and ski. But Dale didn't seem to like my answer. Things got tense when he started complaining about city people who came here and polluted and littered. I tried to defend myself and the others, but Dale got more and more heated. He was loud, his beer in hand. Then he said each word. "I don't understand why you all can't just stay where the fuck you belong." I stood up, trying to keep my composure, smiling. "Okay, I think I should go. Thanks for the beer." Dale didn't say anything, just looked down at his beer. When I was about 100 feet away, he yelled, "I'm sorry." I looked back and gave him a thumbs up, but inside I felt uneasy. 20 years of loneliness can make people lose their communication skills, but I wasn't sure if that was the real reason. That night, as I lay on my mattress, watching a movie on my laptop, I heard a voice outside. It sounded like someone was talking to themselves and cursing. I looked out the window, but there was no one. It was pitch black outside. The house was large and mostly forest. I felt a chill down my spine. The next day, Dale knocked on the door again in the middle of the day. I heard him call my name. Not wanting to see him, I stayed in my room. He kept knocking for 5 minutes. It was strange. Then he spoke. "I know you're in there. Your car's still here." At that moment, I was really scared. He wasn't normal. I felt something haunting and creepy about Dale. After a while, he left, or so I thought. I felt uncomfortable going out all day. I was afraid he was lurking somewhere, watching me. After dinner, I watched a movie, trying to relax. But for the second night in a row, I heard voices outside. I turned off the TV, looked outside. Nothing. I went out on the deck, turned on the lights, and there was Dad. He was standing about 5 feet away from the woods, his arms outstretched at his sides. For a second, he froze in the light, then abruptly turned and ran into the woods. I'd rushed inside, considering calling 911, but I called my dad first. He told me to wait because if I called the police, I probably wouldn't want to come back. I decided to sleep the night and leave the next morning. But just an hour after I lay down, Dale yelled out saying, "I know you're in there. Get out of here. No one wants you here." His voice was so angry. He sounded drunk. This is when I realized my neighbor was really a crazy person. Maybe he was the reason this house was so good. The next morning, I left, taking my valuables with me. I haven't been back since, but next time, I definitely won't go alone. If Dale does this again, I'll call the police. At this point, I'm really not sure what to do, but I'm considering selling the place, because right now, I'm afraid to go there alone. My name is Garrett, and this happened when I was a sophomore. After my freshman year, I was no longer allowed to live in the dorms, so I struggled to find housing off campus. I ended up in a co-op EPA 3-house community near campus. It wasn't ideal, but it was cheap and I didn't have many options. I had a bike anyway, so the extra mile wasn't a big deal. Most of the residents were young students like me, but there were a few exceptions, a few alumni, a tie or two, and some older people finishing their degrees. But the person who caught my eye right away was an older woman who lived in one of the other houses. Judging by her appearance, she was in her late 50s, though she looked a little older. She had gray hair, walked with a limp as if her back had been injured, and always had a blank expression on her face. She spoke very little, mostly just hanging around by herself. I assumed she had something to do with the university, maybe a lecturer or an alumnus, but no one said anything, and I didn't ask. The first time I saw her doing anything strange was in our shared kitchen. This was strange, since the other 2 houses had their own kitchens, so I didn't understand why she was there. She didn't cook, she didn't eat, she didn't talk to anyone, she just stood there for hours watching us. The young students chatting, cooking, listening to music. She didn't try to join in, she just stood there watching. Occasionally, I caught her eye. And there was a strange feeling that crept up on me, as if she was watching me specifically. At first, I thought it was just my imagination. But then, one night while I was doing my homework, I glanced out my bedroom window and saw her standing in the middle of the street, staring at me. It was late, it was cold, and she just stood there, motionless. I didn't know if she was looking into my window or just looking around, but it was obvious that she was watching me. For some reason, I raised my hand and waved, trying to be friendly. I immediately regretted it. She didn't wave back. Instead, she jumped up and down as if excited, and then suddenly ran off toward one of the other houses, presumably hers. Because at that moment, I felt a wave of nausea. Not only did I realize she was really watching me, but now she knew exactly which room was mine. For that night, I asked a housemate about her. He said she was always there, and that I should just pretend I didn't see her, like everyone else. I asked others, but the answers were the same. An older man who lived in the same house as her said she was involved in college, a little eccentric, but had no history of violence. I wasn't satisfied with that answer, but there was nothing I could do about it. So I tried to forget about her, but then things got worse. One night, I walked out of my room and almost bumped into her in the hallway. She was standing right in front of my door. It was after midnight, and the house was quiet. I flinched, jumped back, but she didn't say anything, didn't react, just turned around and walked away as if I was the one who was bothering her. Then I caught her lurking in areas she shouldn't have been. The scariest time was when I lost my room key. One night, I woke up randomly. At first, I wasn't sure why. But then I heard a slight noise coming from the closet. Every 20 seconds or so, there was a rattling sound, like something was moving inside. I'm not a person who panics easily, and I'm certainly not helpless in a dangerous situation. I decided to check it out for myself. I quietly got out of bed, took a deep breath, and slowly walked to the closet. My heart was pounding. I yanked the closet door open and screamed. In the closet, she was crouched, one of my ties wrapped around her neck, her eyes wide open. In her hand, the steel of a kitchen knife glinted. I screamed again, this time with real fear. Before I could react, she lunged at me, knife outstretched. I immediately wrestled her to the ground, easily disarming her. Despite her small size and frailty, she struggled, bit, and fought back furiously. I screamed for help, and soon my friend Lee rushed into the room, helping me hold her down. The police were called immediately. They found my room key in her pocket. It was a few weeks before I learned the whole story. It turned out that she was the property manager's sister. He had secretly let her live in the spare room without anyone knowing. She was seriously mentally ill, but instead of taking her to treatment, he threw her in there like a dirty secret. The property manager was eventually arrested for negligence and a host of other crimes. As scared as I was, I couldn't blame her entirely. The manager was the one to blame. But no matter how much I felt sorry for her, I couldn't shake the fact that she had tried to kill me. I could have died that night. Now, I was about to graduate. I would definitely miss college. But every time I thought about it, I knew I would never forget that night.